All right, Sister Lovely. So I first want to start out with, thank you. What is budgeting, first of all? So for some of us, when we think of budgeting, I've got a little picture coming up here that gives you an idea of what I think it is. Sitting down with a bunch of your bills and working out, sitting down with your bills, your calculator, your pen, and usually you have a headache by the end of it trying to pay everything. Right? It's all about a balancing act. For me, sometimes, if you don't work within a budget, you're trying to pay the things that come up as they are needed. So you're paying the bills that most people are complaining about first. But a budget is much more than that. It's about income, and income is the money that you have coming into your household. It's about expenses. Expenses are what we call those items that you pay out. It's also called expenditures. And it's also something very important that some of you may not realize. It's called cash flow. And cash flow, who can tell me what cash flow is? Does anybody know? No one? What about, are these terms sounding too far for you, or can you relate to them so far? Because it's necessary in order for you to follow the rest of the presentation, right? So income is what is coming in, and expenses are what is going out. Cash flow is important to make sure that you have enough money to meet up with everything that's going through. So that cash is not coming in and going out at a certain period in time, in a month, for example. Because most of us pay our bills and receive our salaries on a monthly basis. Okay, so cash flow is making sure, and I'll get to this a bit deeper on, that you have enough cash to make it through what you have to cover during the month. So I've got a definition here of what a budget is. It's a financial plan. Your planned expenses and incomes, right? So what you're paying out and what you're bringing in. But what's interesting on this definition is not for also spending, it's also a plan for savings, right? So if you're saving up for a certain project, you should also include that in your budget. What's also interesting, Sister Lovely, can you page back please to the other? What's interesting here too, there's a little logo on the top here called BKR. Are you familiar with who the BKR is? Some of you are. It's called the Bureau of Credit Registratie in Holland. And this is actually the institution that determines your credit rating. So for some of us who have come from or lived in different countries, you usually know what your credit rating is, because they will tell you if you go to buy a TV and you can't pay for it, they know it right away. The BKR is a bit more dangerous because it's not so visual or present to a lot of us. You usually find out about the BKR because if you have a bad financial reputation, one of the suppliers that you did business with, like Vodafone or T-Mobile, could be something very small. They can put a mark against your financial record, and they do that by logging it at the BKR. You don't know that they're doing this. So if you've paid, for example, what happened to me was I paid a mobile phone bill about 3 months too late. So it went to the Incasso Bureau or the Deur order with their fee on top of it. Paid it off, thought it was all done until I tried to get a loan about 5 years later. Okay? And then that can affect something like a little €50 phone bill can affect your ability to get a mortgage or a loan. Okay? So it's very important to understand what is on your reputation, your financial reputation with the BKR. And to find that out, you can go, the procedure used to be, you could go to the bank and pay €5, get a form, send it off to them, and they will tell you everything that's on your name. Okay? All right, Sister Lovely. So how do budgets work? So we're talking about what you spend your salary on. For most of us, our incomes is reliant on our salaries. But there's also other forms of income that people have that you don't know. And when you're making a budget, it's important to know what all your sources of income are. So who can tell me what other income you have? Because all of us here that have children have another source of income besides our salary.
The child budget you get from the government.
Kinderbijslag.
Yeah, kinderbijslag.
Right? So kinderbijslag is also a source of income that you can put in there. It's not only your salary. Okay? What do we spend our salaries on? Well, for most of us, the biggest part is housing. Pastor showed us that on the the YouTube presentation. The biggest part goes for your housing, your rent. I've just put mine down here so to give you guys an idea. Tithes, food, running your car, and under car comes a lot of things there: insurance, road tax, gasoline, maintenance, fines as well, boetes, clothing, whether you want to say it or not, entertainment. Entertainment could be eating out. Entertainment could be going to a movie. Entertainment could be called birthday presents. The children that have to go to a birthday party, you can put also under entertainment. For those of us who have children in the secondary school and middle bar school, school fees, there's an outer arbitrage. Okay, they say it's voluntary, but technically it is, but there's a lot of pressure on you to pay it anyways. Then you've got, if you have a sports membership, you're paying that. If you have a magazine membership or another membership, if you have a loan payment, that's something that you also pay out. And what you should also do is treat your savings as an expense in order to make sure that you stick to your budget that you have. I've got under here as miscellaneous, right? Things that come up that we don't plan for, right? Things that happen. Family in Nigeria, something goes wrong, you have to send money. So miscellaneous, you should also have a budget for things like that as well. Okay, so if you're within your budget, it means that your salary is greater than or equal to your expenditures, which is your expenses. Okay. So, how do we create that? So how do we get ourselves into trouble? Well, it simply occurs when we have more things that we owe than what we have to spend on it. Right? So our expenses are now greater than what we have with our salary and our kinderbijslag. And how did we get ourselves in that situation? Well, actually it starts with a lack of discipline, but it's borrowing from others. Buying on credit. I mean, we see that a lot these days now, right? The media marked 0% rent till 2015 or whatever, right? Buying on credit comes with a risk. I think it's great that you can buy something now and pay for it a year from now. But the only way to get the full benefit of that is you start paying for it little by little until 2012 is over. Okay, so I don't have a problem with this, but a lot of people, it's a weakness. You can have everything that you want now. Okay, and that's what the message I learned. You can have everything you want now. It's not going to cost you, it's going to cost you later. But nobody, by the time you engage in this agreement, nobody is coming to tell you, you owe us €1,000 by the end of 2012. Once you start off it, if you decide to pay them off €100 a month from February, they're not going to say no, but they're not going to ask you for it either. Okay? So you have to have a lot of discipline if you want to actually benefit from these kind of schemes. Paying your creditors late, incurring higher costs. So the bill came from the Tandarts. I thought, oh, I've got 30 days to pay it, I'll just leave it. Then on 35 or 40 days, a reminder bill came. I went, oh yeah, I've got to make sure I pay that. And then I forget about it. And the next thing that happens is a bill comes from the incasso. And there's now €20 extra on top of it. And I better pay it now because the only thing that's happening is it's going up and up and up. Okay, so if you didn't have it before, you have to find it now. Otherwise, you start getting into a very terrible situation that some of you may have been in already. I call this one hedge timing. So hedge timing is really gambling, actually, with your situation. And it goes something like this. Oh, well, my kinderbijslag is coming in now on the 1st of January. That's about €300. So that means that if I buy this thing by this date and I pay for it by this date, then kinderbijslag comes in on the 1st, it's all covered. And guess what? Kinderbijslag is late by about 4 or 5 days. And right away, you go into the red. And trying to climb out of the red into this minor situation becomes very, very difficult. But it can start as something very simple like this. Okay, so you made a gamble, and that's why I call it your hedging, because hedging is a financial term, and it's actually a nice way that they use on the stock market to call gambling. So you're hedging that the kinderbijslag will come in on the 1st, so I can buy whatever it is now for Christmas, and I'll be okay. And you're not. And then you get yourself in trouble, and it becomes painful again because you should have just waited till the money was in. Partial payments versus full payments. I have a credit card. They make it very attractive for you now in Holland. So you can, Christmas is coming up, they want you to spend a lot of money. They even tell me, hey, at ABN AMRO, I'm a very good customer there, you can skip over your loan payment in December. Isn't that wonderful? And I say, no, it's not wonderful because I'm going to spend more and get myself in more trouble. Temptation is always everywhere, especially now, at this time of year. When you have bought something with your credit card, you have to be disciplined enough to know that you're going to pay it off. Okay? If you make the partial payment, and I'll tell you why it's dangerous to make the partial payment. If I've bought something for 100 euros, the bill comes in that says you can pay the 100 euros now, or you can pay 14 euros. Do you know how much you're really paying before you pay off that 100 euros? The interest rate on that credit card is not 5 or 7% that you pay on your mortgage. The smaller the loan, the higher the interest rate. And you get into double digits of interest, 14%, 16%. If you look at what you get on your savings account, it's not anywhere near there, okay? If you go and put your money into stocks, it is not anywhere near 14 or 18% rate of return, okay? An 8% rate of return on an investment is a good return. But here you're willing to pay double-digit interest to make that partial payment, okay? Like I said to you before, this is about choices and this is about discipline. And then what can also send a lot of us into an unexpected spiral is the unexpected negative situations that come up. I think a lot of us have to deal with this, right? Family falls sick in Nigeria, then you have to finally round up money to take care of these things, right? A lot of things that you don't expect to happen can also take a hit on your wallet. So the best thing you can do is also put a little bit aside for that, right? And it's like Pastor said, it's about planning. Failure to plan means that it's a plan for failure. All right, Sister Lovely. So what can we do about this, knowing all these terrible things are going on? Well, I've got good news for you. We have options. So what I'm going to talk to you today is about these options that are on here right now. So you can consolidate your debt and why that was going to help you. How you can talk to your creditors and get into a communication with them. Filing for bankruptcy if it gets that bad, because that's also an option. You can ask the community for help. And you can also try to make more money to make sure that your equation looks good, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each one of these in a bit more detail. Are you guys okay so far, or am I going too fast? Okay? All right. All right, Sister Lovely. Okay, that consolidation. So there's two ways to handle this. I won't go reading off this slide. Basically what you do is you sit down with all your creditors, and you say to them, right, this is a situation, we've got a bill, and what can we do about it? So, I actually love this because you're in full control of what's going on with this. But for some people, the hurdle to be able to do this is very high for them. But I think in order for you to be successful at doing this, you have to understand, what do your creditors want from you? They want their money back. And who's going to pay them back? Only you. But what you're talking about now is paying them back on your terms, not on their terms, right? So this is a negotiation. Ultimately, what they want their money back. And you want to be rid of them, right? So in that way, you have a beneficial middle ground. So what you do is I've got two options here. I'm going to go through option 2 because it's one of my favorite. To do this, you need to know what you're ready to pay and how far you're ready to go. And I don't know if any of you have ever had a dear water on the telephone. It's absolute nightmare, and it's extremely, extremely stressful. So before you go into this conversation with them, you know how far you're willing to go. My conversations usually go with them, okay, I owe you 1,000 euros, and I can only pay 20 euros a month right now. That's not going to go down too well. You owe us 1,000 euros, you should know better. I get a whole moral lesson on how I need to finance my books. I shouldn't have bought it if I couldn't afford it, and etc., and so forth. By the end of the day, this is what I can pay. Listen, I have other things. They will circle you around and put a lot of pressure on you to make sure that their debt gets paid first at the amount that they want. And it's very simple how you handle this. All I can pay you is 20 euros a month. That's it. That's all I can pay you. Yeah, that's not good enough. I said, you know what? We're going to take you to court. Go ahead and take me to court. I'm going to tell the judge exactly what I'm telling you right now. So if you feel that you want to take me to court, go ahead by all means. Okay, you've got to be courageous to do this. Go ahead by all means. I will tell the judge, it's not that I'm saying I'm not paying the bill. What I'm saying is this is all I can pay. And you know what the judge is going to do? All right, Mrs. Elby, off you go. Go pay your 20 euros a month until it's all settled. They'll put some fees on top of that. That's it to cover their cost. But that's it. A tough conversation, right? A very tough conversation and negotiation to get out of this, okay? What you do in this situation is you have to have that discussion with all your creditors. So if you've got 5 or 10 of them, you're going to have to do this cycle about 5 or 10 times. When you've identified what you're going to do with all of them, you can either, by debt consolidation, this method, you can take a loan on at the bank. So if you've got 5 or 10 of these little, quote unquote, these little expenses, you take out a loan, you bundle the amount that you owe, bundle it together, take a loan, and you pay it off. Pay it off at once. And then you're making that one monthly payment, and the interest rate should be a lot less than if you're paying it one by one. Not to mention also the stress level on your head and the amount of transactions going through your bank statement. So for you, mentally, it's also nicer to see one transaction I paid, 150 a month, but all those other expenses are gone, and a lot of post stops coming through your mail slot as well. So that's also very nice. Okay? Now that also depends on your BKR registration and your ability to get a loan. If you cannot get a loan, then you are stuck with managing those 5 or 10 creditors yourself. Okay? All right, Sister Lovely, come here, next slide, please. Okay, the betaalregeling. So this is with the creditors, the debt consolidation that we just talked about. We also talked about negotiating the monthly payments with your creditors. And in that example, you got one loan or one payment to pay it all off. Now, when you're talking about, with these guys about, your door warders or your incasso bureaus about these things, I always negotiate the monthly payments as low as possible for me. That is not their negotiating point. Their point is to get as much as they can from you. And I told you already how to get away from that, right? This is all I can pay. They will come across with, well, you get kinderbijslag once a quarter, so we should be able to have some more of that. That's left for you on how you want to work it out, okay? But you want to make the payments as low as possible, and I'll tell you why. Because when they start putting pressure on you, if you need to double up the payment and say, all right, I get kinderbijslag on January, I'll pay you 40 euros then, because I have other things to cover. You can manage all that still, and you can still live. If you agree to what they're asking you for, you will find yourself, or you may find yourselves in trouble. And the whole thing about it is you controlling your finances, not your creditors controlling your finances. It's about you controlling what you give out, okay? Very important for you to know when you're negotiating with them. So here's how much I'm going to pay you, 20 euros a month until it's paid off. And I want you to remove any BKR registration that you've put on my name. It is very easy for them to remove this from your name. And you make it one of the conditions of going into this new contract with them. Okay? The reason for that is I've tried to explain to you in the first slide. The BKR can cause a lot of financial havoc in your life later on, especially when you want to buy a house. And it could be over something very, very simple. In my case, it was a Vodafone mobile phone bill. So make sure that when you're negotiating, after you've gotten the financials all settled, this is what we're going to do. And one more thing, make sure there's no BKR registration on my name. These things, the incasso bureaus, the door warders, they love to do all these things in writing. For when they have to take you to court, they have everything documented. So you make sure that you write them, or you email them and you said, this is what we've agreed, and make sure there's no BKR registration on my name. If you find out a few years later that it is, you can go back to them and say, this is not what we agreed. You need to take it off. Because I think to work this black mark on your name, I think it's about 7 years before it disappears. Okay? And that's why you find people cannot get mobile phone abonnements. Okay, this is one of the reasons as well. Now, if you do not stick to this betaalregeling, this payment scheme that you've agreed to, what will happen, and they will tell you this as well, if you default on this, they will tell you that the whole balance is due now and then. So you need to stick to this because this is done on goodwill and on trust on the part of the creditor. Right? So you have to be aware that if you default on that, they are within their rights to call the whole payment, and they will take you to court, and they will probably likely win and force you in a situation that you don't like because they have already taken steps to try to settle it with you. Okay? All right. Bankruptcy. I hope none of us ever have to take this option, because this is really this is big time, this is serious. You're going to need a lawyer to help you with this when you're filing for bankruptcy. You should not worry about your BKR registration, because it's completely gone by the time you take this option. And filing for bankruptcy actually tries to protect you, because you took a choice to do this, to protect yourself. What's going to happen anyways is that all your assets will be sold. If you own a house, it's going to be sold. Your car is going to be sold. Your furniture is going to be sold. Okay? So they will come in, they'll take an inventory first to make sure that they can cover the debt. I mean, they'll come in with the police, they'll go and make a list. Doesn't matter if you've got your friend's TV in there, they don't care. They saw it in your house and it is eligible to be claimed. Okay? So you go through 2 stages of that. The faillissement, the first stage, getting your assets liquidated, and then you go into what they call skuldsanering. And we'll get into that one a bit later on exactly what that is. It's a 2-step process, very heavy. It involves the court, all right? And basically, if you are thinking about buying a house, anything like that, it's all gone once you've taken this option. Okay? Any questions on that so far? No? Okay. All right, Sister Lovely. Skuldsanering. Oh yeah. Now this is for people who are undisciplined, because what happens is you get like a carekeeper who's going to tell you how to spend your money now and take care of it. So mommy is coming into the picture. So what happens? This one is an option you can take without the intervention of the courts. And I think, Sister Comfort, this is what you do a lot at the community right now. And this is the job of Sister Comfort that she does. So we get a third party, an intermediary, to handle everything. So in this case, I'll take Sister Priscilla, who sits on both sides. I don't know her. The community knows her. The creditors may or may not know her. She is assigned to work for me as my helper for my financial situation. What she will do is go and find out, talk to me and tell her, okay, where's all the list of your debts that you have here? So we go through the housing, my Prime Line, my MediaMarkt bill, etc., Vodafone, all those things. She takes it all over. She calls my creditors and say, okay, now I'm the intermediary for Karen Obi, and now all the debts I'm taking care of. What she's going to also do, if she's good, is she's going to negotiate, Karen Obi can't pay you 1,000 euros. So how low can we go? Okay, it's a new discussion now, because Karen Obi is in big trouble. So you're not going to get 1,000 euros. You're going to get maybe 700 euros of this. Okay? All my income, my salary is no longer made over into my bank account. It goes into Priscilla's bank account, because Priscilla is now my mommy. Since I don't know how to do anything, I can't handle it. I've shown that I'm irresponsible in managing this. Sister Priscilla is now going to take over my salary and manage it for me, pay off my debts for me, and then at the end of the month, give me an allowance to pay for my food, entertainment, gas in the car. I will have told her everything that I need on a monthly basis. She will decide if it's a good expense or not. So if I tell her I need 20 euros to go to the movie or go to the disco, that is gone. You get your money for food. You don't shop at Albert Heijn anymore. You shop at the Aldi. You don't take that car anymore. You have to ride your bike, etc. and so forth. So you've basically given away your freedom of choice and your freedom of financial movement over to Sister Priscilla. Okay? And that is the intermediary. And now somebody's paying you and giving you your weekly allowance to handle your life. So that is what skuldsanering is. Okay, and the last option, you can generate more income. Right? So make some more money. That's what I'm saying here. And how can you do that? Well, you can get a part-time job. Or if you don't like that, you can get your spouse to get a part-time job. You can sell some of your possessions to raise money. This is also a good way to clean out the attic. Reducing your expenses automatically increases your income. So think about things like taking your bag, stop buying bulk purchases, buy on an as-needed basis. This is down here because this has to do with cash flow, something we talked about. So all of us know that if you go to the Turkish store and you buy a box of chicken, that will last during the whole month. Okay, but that costs 16 euros. If you go and buy 2 chicken legs, that costs you 2 euros. So 2 euros is less than 16 euros. So if I give out 16 euros now, we can have chicken all month. But if I buy chicken for this week for 2 euros, we have to eat something else the rest of the week, but we've had chicken one week. Buying in bulk is good if you have that financial, what's the word I'm looking for? The financial possibility to do that. If you do not have the financial possibility to do that and you don't have a freezer big enough, you're going to have to buy things as you need it. Okay? This is about cash flow. If you find that you're running out of money by the middle of the month, you will not buy the box of chicken for 16 euros. You may not even buy chicken. You may buy bread, jam and cheese and milk until you make it till the end of the month. Okay? And that's about cash flow. So while I will always support anybody say buy things in bulk, it's always cheaper. It is, but it depends on how much cash you have in your account to be able to do that. Okay? And that's where cash flow comes in. So it is a good thing, but it depends on what other things you have to pay for the end of the month to make it through. All right, Sister Lovely. I can get my next page here. Okay. I've just got some tips here for you on how to make sure that you don't land in this situation. And if you have experience in being in this situation, how you don't land back there again. So, making a budget and sticking to it, right? And that's about making choices. Heavy choices. Okay? Also, keep your bank pass at home and not in your wallet. If you find out that you have said, I'm going shopping and I only have 20 euros in my purse and the bank pass is not with you, guess what? You're only going to spend 20 euros unless you go with a friend. And that friend has money with her and she allows you to borrow money. Then it's a bad thing. Right? But keep your bank pass at home. This is a way to be disciplined. And you'll find out that if all you had was 20 euros that you went to spend, you will actually only spend 20 euros. You may be miserable at the end of it, but at the end of the month, you'll be happy. A lot of us may have an overdraft limit on our bank account, which is a really nice thing for, if you cannot cover all your expenses in the month. And so it's nice to go, a little bit over, 200 or 300 over. Guess what? Have you guys ever seen the interest you spend on that in a year if you use it? And guess what else happens? If you're such a good customer, they keep upping it and upping it and upping it for you. And next thing you know, you have an overdraft limit that's very healthy and you're going to use it. Okay? You are going to use it. Because it's there, it's nice. So the first thing you should do is go to the bank and tell her, you know what? That's going to have to come down by 100 euros every month. I'm not saying don't have it, but don't have it that it's so large that you get yourself, carried away. Something like 200 or 300 should be good enough to cover any unforeseen emergencies. But don't let it go into the 1,000 or 1,500 or something like that. You will just get yourself in trouble, okay? So talk to the bank, and again, it's about discipline to get that changed. We talked about paying off your credit card balances straight away instead of paying them. That's sometimes very painful, but this is what it's about. It's about cash flow. It's about staying financially afloat. Consolidate small items into a big debt. The reason for doing this, you will pay less interest. I told you that all these small debts, they have double-digit interest rates on them, okay? So by consolidating together, you can get a bigger loan and probably get a better interest rate as well. So ultimately, you will pay less. And also, reducing the amount of payments that you make, that also has a psychological effect on you when you're looking at your bank statement and you're seeing out, and you think, is it ever going to end, right? Another cash flow point here. Try to get your annual payments monthly to improve your cash flow. For example, your insurance payments. So if you pay for a car or property taxes, that was something that used to be done yearly or quarterly. Because you get paid monthly, if you pay these things off monthly, it's also better for your cash flow. If a bill comes in for your insurance, your house insurance or your car insurance, once a year, that's a certain bundle of money that you have to find at that time to pay it. So if it's 200 euros a year or 250 euros a year, you're going to have to make sure that you have that covered. Or you can say, I'm going to pay 10 euros a month to pay it off, and then I don't have this big surprise at the end of the year. Okay, so that's again about cash flow. Another tip that I found out that's very good, because I find out that when I've got a lot of expenses, I don't want to check my bank account because there's no good news in there. I don't know if you're the same, but I find it sometimes very stressful to look at it and see what's going on. You've put up a wall there, and money is not your friend and that bank account is not your friend, and you need to make your bank account your friend again. Go in there and check in there at least weekly, because sometimes what you find in there could prevent you from getting into a lot of trouble. So you don't want to go and look at it, but what did I find one time? I went in there quite by accident because I didn't like going in there. And someone in Turkey had skimmed 250 euros 2 times within 5 minutes of each other out of my account. Now at the time I was here in Holland, so I don't know how did this happen. So I called the bank, and I didn't know about it. I just knew about it 24 hours after it had happened. Because if you know about it 30 days after it's happened, that's a bit more of an issue with the bank. So someone is called skimming, the practice, and somebody had copied my PIN code from, who knows, maybe a security camera, made a copy of my card, and gone into a bank machine in Turkey, and gone and it's called skimming, taking some money off my account. To get this money back took me 6 months, because I even had to chase the bank for it, because first they were saying, no, you know, it's not our fault. I said, yeah, it is. It's your security system. I put my money here in trust, and you're responsible for the IT systems that support it. But I work in IT here. So, but you're responsible for the systems that take care of my money. Therefore, this is your problem, not mine. I don't owe you 500 euros, so no, you make sure you put it back in. Like, I had to chase this down for 6 months. But the good thing was, by checking my bank account regularly, I saw what was going on and realized this was money that was gone and something else was not going to get covered. Okay? So you can also take action to make sure that other bad things don't happen because you saw what was happening with this, right? So even if you have to talk to the bank and say, look what's going on, this bill is coming in, I need you to cover this until you guys reimburse it. Everything is up for discussion. I believe everything is always open for discussion. When the bank tells me, well, the rule is, I don't really care what the rule is, this is what I need, and you're here to serve me. Okay? That's the way that I play the games with the banks. So make sure and check your bank account so you know what's going in, things that should not be in there, things that go in twice, that should not go in there twice. You will pick that up right away if you check your bank account more frequently. Okay, Sister Lovely. Okay, we're going to talk about now how to create your own budget. If you bank at ABN AMRO like I do, automatically it does that for you on the internet bankieren. Right, there's an automatic budgeting tool on there. The only use that I've used it for is that it's been able to give me a list of my monthly incomes because it's been tracking the same reoccurring expenses, my mortgage, the property taxes, insurance, that kind of thing. So it can help you on that. Gather all your sources of income and expenses, all of them. So Katja here pointed out that Kinderbeislag is a source of income, right? If you have you're selling stuff on Marktplaats, for example, that's also a source of income, right? And know all your expenses. For most of us, reading our bank statements and consolidating that tells us what all our expenses are. So it's not something you have to sit down and think. The first place you should do is start with your bank statement, right? All income, all expenses, and when you're paying them, the frequency, right? You're going to total them together and you're going to hope that you've got more income than expenses. For most of us, though, it might be even, or it might be you actually have more expenses than income. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to adjust and play with that. And that's when we get into what's fixed and what's variable. So Pastor made a good point. Food, your grocery bill, is a variable expense. Housing is not. You're going to pay 500 euros every month for the next how many years for your rent. So that's a fixed expense. Gasoline could be a variable expense, or it could be a fixed expense depending on where you work. All right? Insurance is fixed. Clothing is variable. If I'm going to buy that new dress for Christmas, or am I going to use the dress from last year, or at all. Right? So the variable expenses, like food, like clothing, like entertainment, those things are where you can make an impact on your budget. Okay, and it could be something from switching to the grocery store, from Albert Heijn over to the Aldi, what you buy, all right, buying things maybe as needed. Instead of going once a week to the grocery store, what I do is great. I send the kids to the grocery store with a list. When I go into the grocery store, I see things I want to have, or things I think about that I may need to have. But when I send the children to the store, they buy exactly what is on the list, and they bring the change back. Well, they don't know what bring the change back, but they always buy exactly what is on the list. So actually, it's a win-win situation to send the children to the grocery store if you're not disciplined like me, okay? Review your budget monthly. What this reason is, the first few months, if you decide to use this technique, the first few months will be great because you will see the results of being disciplined. Everything that you want to pay for, you're able to do it. You know, and I'll tell you a personal story that was quite embarrassing. even though I have a good job, I am also, don't think that what I'm telling you here, I don't go through it. Okay, I am struggling with the same thing that you guys are struggling with. And I work at Shell, and the way you pay for your lunch at Shell is you have the chip knip. Right? So you have to load up the chip knip because that's the only thing that you can pay with in the canteen. Now, come towards the end of the month, there's nothing left on the chip knip. And my manager said to me one day, don't they pay you enough where you work? And I said, it's the end of the month, you know. I was so embarrassed by that I put the budget together. And on the beginning of the month, the first thing I do is I put 50 euros, very high. I put 50 euros on that chip knip. And why? Because I never want to find myself in that situation anymore. Because I found it very embarrassing and humiliating. I put 50 euros on there. There's now in the balance, I think 150 euros that I don't use because I've been doing that. That's how budgeting works. Okay? Because I had to budget and be disciplined. There's now, when I had nothing before, there's 150 euros sitting on there. The next month I don't have to put anything on there. I found 50 euros. I can pay for something else now. Okay? So that's why you should review your budget monthly. And also, what should be on your budget, once you get things under control, your savings. Everybody should think about savings. And the only way that I know of to make sure I save, I'm not very good at holding cash. I'm good at handling things, property, assets. But cash is not something that I hold very well. I just like to spend it. It just looks like it's wasting there, sitting in the bank account, you know. I just like to spend it. But if you want to start your savings, the best way to do it, once you get yourself under control, is put savings as one of your expenses. And if you start paying yourself as a savings account like you pay any other bill, you'll be amazed at how much money you could save up in a year, as opposed to saying, I've got a bonus and I'm going to stash it, or my vacancy hill is in, I'm going to stash it. Right? It's better to pay 100 euros a month into your savings account and know that at the end of the year you'll have 1,200 euros plus interest. Okay? Alright, it's lovely. Okay, some other things to consider. Some other financial circumstances. If you have a mortgage. I hope that all of you who do have a mortgage, which is a hypothèque, is that you have life insurance with your mortgage. And I'll tell you why it's so important. Because I find in Holland they're not very strict on this, but in North America they are very, very strict with this, that you must have life insurance with your mortgage. And the reason for having life insurance is that if one of the partners dies, the house is automatically paid off for. Okay, so it costs a lot, but think about if one of the partners dies. You've got the kids, you've got a house, maybe he or she was a breadwinner, and now you've got to pay this big expense. And how is that going to happen? And is that what you want to deal with when you've just lost your loved one? Right? So life insurance is something, it's very important. Make sure if you have a mortgage that you check out that it covers at least the amount of the house. Because once you're alone with these kids to take care of, this will be one of the things you do not want to worry about, the roof over your head. Okay? Fire insurance. There's a new thing going on with fire insurance, which is why I put it on here. We had a situation in our neighborhood last year. You know, I think most of us live in the righteous houses. A house in the middle got burnt down, and what it did was it spread fire damage to the other two houses beside it. Now, everybody in that row has fire insurance on your house. And if you take out a mortgage, you have to have it out. That's a condition of the bank. Now, the other two houses that had damage, what do you think happened to them in getting their houses in order? The people that lost their house in one day, they had to find some place to sleep. It took over a year to get that house back in the shape that it was. Does your fire insurance cover you if you have to live with somebody else? Because nobody else would want to live with you for a year, okay? This is Europe, this is not Africa, you know? So how good is the insurance you have? And if that's what you want, if your whole house burned down, and these guys want to sell you more insurance, but you have to be pragmatic. If your house burned down, what were you going to do? Because guess what? You still owe the bank that mortgage for that house that you don't live in. You know, as silly as it sounds, that is still going through. The two houses that had fire damage from the negligence of this one house, guess what? They went to their insurance company and said, listen, you know, this guy in the middle here, he got his house burned down, our house got damaged in it, so, you know, come and take care of it. And you would think, well, this is liability insurance actually, because the house in the middle caused the fire. Therefore, his insurance should pay for the damage that he did on the other two houses. Does that not seem logical to you? That seems logical to me. But guess what? That's not the way it works. It was not about liability insurance. It was about what you had covered in your house insurance. Now, how low is that? And so because these people did not have that kind of coverage, that extended fire coverage on their house, they are not able to fix their house up. And there's water and smoke damage on a certain part of the house that they cannot live in. These are old people that are living on my street. So these things for all of us, and this is for all of us, the fine print is very important. And if you do not understand the fine print, call your advisor and say, oh, I want to understand. If my house burned down, what do I get? What if we have to go live in a motel? What do we get? Do you cover all those things? Ask, get it in writing, right? Nobody is going to deny you an answer to this. And nobody has a problem explaining to you what you get. It's with health insurance, it's with life insurance, all these things. The insurance company will always try to find a way not to pay, and you need to know that. So you know exactly what kind of terrain you're operating in. Okay? If you rent, do you have insurance? Okay, and which one is it? If your house got broken into, I mean, in Boodle is contents insurance, right? Now they talk about, yeah, you need 20,000 euros for furniture. It's like, man, I go buy everything by lane back up for like 5,000, okay, I'm okay, to get me started again, right? But these are things that you need to think about. I'm not a big fan of this, the Dutch insurance culture. So I choose very carefully the insurance I take. You know, for example, at my work we have arbeidsongeschiktheid, so disability insurance. Now, it's very top, but you pay for it. So after a month that my company pays for me, then I go on disability insurance, I get 85% of my salary, and blah, 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 blah. Well, what happens if I say that for 3 months you don't pay me? How much less of a premium am I going to pay? Okay? It's also things with pensions. I think a lot of us, where you work, you pay pensions. If you work at a job for one company 1 year, for another company another year, these are all different pensions that you're taking out. And now, before you know it, you've got a stack of paperwork like this. You can do something about that. You can go to say, oh, I like the pension by Nationale Nederlanden. So, Nationale Nederlanden, I've got all these papers here, I've got all this capital tied up in pensions. How much are you going to charge me to take all these over? That's a discussion that you can have. Okay? Everything, for me, everything is up to negotiation. Everything is up for discussion. It may take a while, but you will get there in the end. Okay? And the BKR, the Bureau of Credit Registration, my very good friends, do you understand the impact of this and how to control your credit rating, even though they keep it very much invisible to you? Okay? And that was it.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? Yes, Sister Lovely. Okay, getting small loan. Her question was getting smaller loans with high interest. If you take out a loan for 500 euros, for example, that's called a small term loan. Or because it's only 500 euros, they're going to make sure the interest rate is very high on it, so double digits. So a loan for 500 euros has a higher interest rate than a loan of 200,000 euros or a loan of 10,000 euros. They tell you when you're taking your loan. They're going to tell you how long it's going to go for. They're going to tell you what the interest rate, you will see it as well, what you're paying. But you have to understand the pieces of information that they're giving to you. So you can question it and say, oh, well, what if I took out 1,500 euros? What would the interest rate be then? Okay? Brother, what, you had a question?
Yeah. You talked about fire insurance, and of course about house insurance. I got confused here.
Okay.
Because I was thinking that house insurance is just like fire insurance.
Maybe, maybe not. House insurance could be contents insurance. House insurance could be glass insurance. House insurance could be the contents insurance. It could also be fire insurance.
Yeah, it depends the kind of the insurance you have, because sometimes the insurance covering the house, if you have mortgage, it can cover the glass, break-in and fire. But sometimes it can equally still cover when a child broke in.
Liability insurance.
Yeah,
Yes.
liability. So it depends the kind of the insurer that is covering the mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's different. The way we explain it to you is different.
Exactly what.
Like my own situation, my children, like this year, they break my glass 3 times. I have to call them.
Yeah.
They have to fix it back. So they send me a letter. This is what it costs. This, that, but I didn't pay any cent.
Yeah.
So all the same, but it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
But what can we do? That is the country we are living.
Yeah, exactly. Like what you said now. I had the same thing happen to me with the glass in the door. They broke it twice, the same glass. Right? So there's a separate part on the when I say house insurance, it covers, think about the bank, thinking about, okay, you've got a house with us, we own the house, you're paying us off for it. So what happens if that house disappears or something happens to that asset? Okay? So they call the force majeure, the acts of God. A tree fell down on top of the house. That wasn't your fault. Well, unless you were cutting down the tree and the tree fell the wrong way, right? But let's say there was a storm and the tree fell on the house. What happens now? You don't have a home and the bank doesn't have an asset anymore, right? So when I'm talking about house insurance, it covers a wide load of fire insurance could be in there as well. But I wanted to bring out this example about fire insurance. If you think that you're covered, because most of us, until this thing happened, I thought, well, I have pretty good fire insurance, but I don't really read the fine print. But we need to. All of us need to understand what would happen if our house burnt down. What does the insurance pay? And most of us, we only find out when you get in that situation, and then it's really painful. You know, you go to the standards and you get some work done, and you come back and you find out that the insurance covers nothing. That's the standards. That's one that you can handle. What about your house? That's a much more serious situation. Yeah.
Sister Carrie, what do you think in the respect of insurance, what they call it imbudu?
Yeah.
Is it advisable for one person to just go on one package? Like for example, life insurance, car insurance,
Yeah.
Insurance covering the mortgage, travel insurance,
Yeah.
all those sort of insurance.
Okay.
What do you think your advice? Is it ideal to take it in one company?
Okay. So what Brother Gary is asking about is if you take, some of us may have the insurances with different people. What about going with the same person? So first of all, I'm not an insurance advisor. I can just share my own personal experience with you. It's easier administratively to handle. Just because you're with one insurance agent doesn't mean that you're with one insurance company, right? Because then you can go to Winter Here or whatever for this, and you go to somebody else for the travel insurance. So you're with one agent. The good thing about going with one agent is, like I said, the administration, and you can negotiate a better price because they've got all your insurance. When I first came here and I wasn't very much aware of the system, I loved it. Because everything I just called this one guy. Now I don't do that so much because then you see FPTO can say you can do this and that and all that. But I loved, personally, having one person that I called for everything. And like I said, I was a green foreigner back then, so it was very easy to say, I'll help Peter go and handle this and this is going on. Right? That's a matter of choice. If you really know the system, you can maybe get even better savings. But you have to read the fine print carefully. Because I think still, you get what you pay for. So if you're getting the cheapest insurance, you may also get the cheapest coverage. And you need to be careful of that. So make sure that when you're looking, you're comparing apples with apples and not apples with oranges. Right? I'm saying FPTO is no, the health insurance. Now all the health insurance companies are all out to get you to switch over to their company. Make sure and read the fine print carefully. Okay, and ask the right questions, because now VKZ has one, a plus verzekering, that is a lot cheaper than what I pay now. Yeah, and guess what? What's in the fine print? If you read it carefully, the coverage is okay. You have to read the whole overzichter and everything that they cover. But in some situations, you have to go with their experts and not the ones that you may want to go with. And that's why it can be so much cheaper. So you have to be careful. If that's okay for you, then it's okay for you. But you knew about it before you started, instead of going to a specialist and putting the bill in and finding out they're not going to pay it. And why? Because they're not registered on their list. Okay? It's all about knowing. There was another question here. I'm coming to you.
Sorry, please, because where I'm going to now, I think it affects me personally, or it may affect some other people personally. Maybe. Especially some of us who are foreigners here, you know. You can be foreigner, but you are not actually a foreigner, you know. Some of us are typical foreigners in foreign land.
Okay, I'm a typical foreigner.
Yeah. Well, what I mean a typical foreigner in a foreign land is, in the case of myself, I first came here, later on I got married, and it's assumed that most of the things I do in the house, my wife have a very little idea of what it takes to run the house.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that may be in the case of some other people. Why I bring this topic up is what you have shared with us now. If you go to a consultancy, it could have cost us a fortune, but it's given to us free. And the idea of a husband and wife sitting down and knowing the expenses, knowing your income and what comes in and what goes out, I think that is the essence of this topic, because sometimes the husband runs most of the expenses. The wife brings the money, but it may not know where some of these bills are being paid, or how they are paid, or when they are being paid. As a matter of fact, some people thought that water rent is paid every month, but in some cases are being paid every 3 months. So if you and your wife are not in agreement, being enlightened of knowing exactly what you spend in the house to run the house, maybe when the man is not there, maybe on a leave or far away, some of the bills may be coming and the wife may not even know, or vice versa. So my essence of saying this is as good as giving all this information, but even when we go back home now trying to look into it, the idea of husband and wife knowing the expenditures is very, very important, instead of one party alone carrying it on.
Totally agree with you, but that is a matter of cultural upbringing and personal choice. The way I think about it is in my own history. My mother died when I was quite young, and both my mother and father, the way they raised us up was they had a joint account, so they always knew what the other one was spending, and that seemed to be, that was a sign of being married back then. They were a partnership, so everything was a joint account. It's only today where you will have a situation where the husband has one account and the wife has another account. They still know what they're doing, but they have their own respective accounts because they have their own respective jobs. The thing where this hits, and this is what I want to come to, is when one partner, let's say the breadwinner, something terrible happens. You said that they've gone to a foreign country and all of a sudden these things aren't going. So basically poor management, because now a bill is coming in, the wife doesn't know about it to pay for it. But what happens if something really bad happens to you? And think about this, because this is what my father went through. My mother had just passed away. He's got to bury her, deal with the relatives, he's got 4 children to take care of, and which bills did my mother cover? And of course he didn't know, and of course they went into the red, and guess what? You're already dealing with the death of a loved one, you're already in a lot of pain, and a lot of crap, and now you have to work out this as well. And this is a message for all couples here today. Make sure you understand what is going on in your house. What do you need to do? In my house, there's a folder called Death. You can ask the children. And in there, in the folder called Death, is what to do if something happens to mommy. Call this person. Here are the bank account numbers to take all the money out of it. Because as soon as the bank finds out that I am dead, everything will get frozen. And so you have no money right now. So Rishi has gone through the contents of this folder. All my insurance policies list here. Here's a contact person to help you. It's my old accountant when I came to Holland. Call him and give him all this information. He'll know what to do. Okay? Because all your pensions, normally your pensions have a clause on it that if you die and you have children under the age of 18, they're entitled to a certain amount of money. You will have to put in the paperwork to make sure that money comes to your children. Okay? Everything is written down in a folder that my children know how to access. Some say it's morbid, I say it's called being planned. Okay? I don't know tomorrow. And I know one thing, the same way I took care of my children when I was alive is the same way I want them to be taken care of when I'm gone. I don't want my children to miss me because when mommy was here, this thing would never have happened. Okay? My children are enough of a shock and enough grief that at least financially they can be taken care of. Okay? So this is a warning to all couples here to make sure that your partners understand what is going on in the house. Don't leave it for the other person. No one knows tomorrow. Okay? It is not a man's job. In Japan and in the Netherlands, the wife does the bookkeeping. And they are held responsible for it, especially in Japan. Sister Vera, you've got a burning question.
No.
No, you don't have a burning question? Okay, next.
That's not burning.
It's not a burning question, okay.
No. What I want to ask is about the car insurance on the one of paying monthly payment.
Yeah.
Like when you buy something or you want to pay your rent, you couldn't pay it. You can pay monthly. But like the belasting, I don't think it's allowed.
Everything, I told you, everything is possible.
Negotiable.
Everything is negotiable. You just have to ask. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, because I found out that I tried to ask, they said no, you have to pay it cash.
You tell them you don't have the money.
Is this the belasting deeds you're talking about in specific?
No, like maybe belasting pay some money into your account and you have to pay it back to them. Yeah.
Okay, so we are talking, you owe the belasting deeds some money.
Yeah.
Okay, what you do with the belasting deeds, first of all, I never talk to the belasting deeds. But what I do is you get the bill, and they've got an accept hero with it, right? And let's say it's 1,000 euros. What you do is you pay 100 euros right away. And guess what will happen? They will process it, and a bill will come for 900 euros telling you to pay the full amount on this thing. And you set another 100 euros back. And then another one comes again for 800. That's what you do. I never call the belasting deeds because I know what I'm going to hear. So you just pay it, you know what you can pay, so pay it off, and then another one comes and it's going down, and then they will eventually just leave you alone.
Like the car insurance, like it comes yearly.
Yes.
In maybe 200 or 400 euros.
Yep, good example.
And you said that you can pay it before then. You can be paying it.
What you do is very simple. Just call your agent and say, I don't want to be paying this yearly anymore. Because and this is the cash flow that I was talking about. You have to have this money saved up for the end of the year. So I want to pay this monthly now. If they tell you no, say, can I pay it quarterly? They say no, so no, you need to find a new company who's willing to do business with us. And once they lose your business, you will be amazed at how flexible they become. I'm serious. Yes, Brother Shadrach.
I think my wife is asking that question because of me.
I never would have guessed.
It's a very good question because this gift they are doing every year.
Yep.
I think I've been doing it from 2006. So the last time I went, they said, why don't just you call on the phone, then with your Sophie number, we arrange everything.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it like that. So I think this year, they brought me a bill of almost 2,000 plus to pay.
Okay.
They said you are not be coming here to do the handbill. I said no. This is what you people answer.
Hold on. You said you haven't been doing the aangifte.
No, I've been doing it on the phone. 2007, they asked me to stop. I have to always call them on the phone.
Hang on, wait a minute. Are we talking about the right thing? An aangifte is your tax return.
Yeah.
So they cannot tell you don't put in your tax return. They want to have your tax return.
Yeah. Normally, I do it, every 14th of April, you have to do it.
Right.
Eh?
Yes?
Every 14th of April, you have to do it. 2006.
Uh-huh.
And so they said, no, when you just call, I think, normally, that is what I do. They did in 2010. I just called it, they answered my Sophie number, they arrange it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Who arranged it?
Yeah.
And the last thing.
Nobody arranged nothing for you.
Wait, I think were you having a two job? Were you having a full time and part time?
No, I would arrange it.
No, because like us now that got married, is quite different from people living apart. You understand? Like children too slack. It's always a problem every year.
You mean Zorg Toeslag?
So too slack and
The kinderen on the budget.
It's always a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I for one, I have experienced many things with them. I've been to the office almost 4 times. Put it in writing with them. I don't need your money. At the end of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, at the end of the year, if you want to give me money back, then after you calculated it, what is left, you can pay it to my account. So on that process, that year, they couldn't stop it. End of the year, they send me a letter. I have to pay 3,000 euro back.
Wow.
Then what happened? I said I was earning a 1 salary. They checked my salary and they checked my wife's salary. Then they said we earn more than what we're supposed to earn. So since that time, I gave them a letter. I said, please, I don't want the money.
Yeah.
When they pay the money to my account, I have to return it back to their account.
So
That's how they stop it.
yeah.
So like this case I'm talking about is if you have 2 jobs, if you don't declare it as second job, definitely you must have a problem.
Okay, but we're not talking about the same thing. Still,
let me just help there.
Yeah.
When you call them, they're supposed to give you a letter for you to have an appointment.
Yeah.
In that office, they always have some people that will attend to you. They will tell you what to bring. You bring, that is if you don't want to do it outside with money. That person will be meeting you at that place. You bring everything about your income and about everything. They will look through it. They will prepare everything while you were there. They will tell you how much you are going to receive back or how much you are going to pay back.
So actually, they're doing the ankifter
Yes,
for you.
Yeah. But not over
They
the
cannot
phone.
do it through the phone.
No.
Maybe you didn't understand them very well.
That when I even went there, we start that, we talk about it.
Not on the phone.
No.
You know?
No.
Maybe you didn't understand.
So that's why I want to know if that's the right word that you're using, because an ankifter is your actual tax return, and they're going to want to see your the NDR's loan stroke, right? And they want to see
But like
your expenses.
those things, the carrier, I think they have all those things in their own computer.
No, that's why you have to do the ankifter. Only the income tax.
They said, yeah, now you have to pay the money. You want to pay the money.
Okay, so now
Yeah.
now we are at the question is now then, what do you do about this bill that you have to pay?
Yeah, automatically they take it out of my account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
Because,
when you first get this bill, right? Like what I told Sister Vera, if you wanna get yourself out of this situation. Normally the payment cycle is 30 days. That is international standard business practice. 30 days on an invoice, okay? Some people will try to make it 15, other ones will reach 45, but 30 days is the international standard on payment terms. So when they're blasting these, they send you one of these bills that they say you owe them. And I'm assuming that you agree with the bill. Because if you don't agree, you need to put in your bizarre and kind of get a process started on that, okay? So I'm assuming that you agree with the bill. You just start paying off, like I said in the example, you've got a €1,000 bill. Just start paying off €100 and send it off within the 30 days. If you leave it longer than that, it starts getting a different attention on it. It starts getting late fees on top of it. And then people want to have their money right away. Then you find a situation that they will go into your bank account, they will tell you when they're going in, and they're just going to take it out, the whole amount, at once. Right?
And another advice, if you don't want them to be collecting the money through automatic, you can go to your bank, they block it. When they block it, you go to the belasting, tell the belasting, look, this is the situation of the financial problem I'm having now. This is the amount I can be paying right now. They will tell you, go and put it in writing. Send it to them, either in a amount of SKD of Apedon. They will not reply you within a 6 weeks, whether they agree or not. But most cases, they must agree, because you didn't say you won't pay. You will pay.
Exactly.
So we are foreigners. If you don't get any information, we don't know where we are heading to.
It's concerning what you said. No matter how you block your account, you can't block your account for the last No bank will immediately they are taking it. You can block it for any other person, not for belasting.
Like my own situation, I don't agree.
Not belasting.
Not the belasting.
If the belasting is sending, no bank will stop them from taking the money unless your money is not in there.
They don't even call the bank, they call your place of work.
Yes.
I want film, please. One film, please, Sister Carol.
All of the pastor has the floor, pastor has the floor.
Please, one thing that came to my mind. if you don't want to fall into the problem of belasting, if they are increasing your salary, you understand, maybe every January they increase your salary, make sure you go to belasting, inform them that I'm expecting about 2,700 or 27,000 this year, because they are, whatever they are giving to you, whatever they are paying you, they are thinking of your last year income. You understand me? And they are paying you more now. At the end of the year, if they find out that you get more, you may be able, they may tell you to pay back. You understand me?
It's better to pay back.
I like receiving back from them than pay them back.
Exactly. And these guys are ruthless. But it brought me up, Pastor, on another tip that you can have. For those of you who have a mortgage, you know that you get a certain amount of money every month from the government that you can receive as part of your paying off your mortgage, right? I never take that monthly. I take that yearly, because that's my cushion. Because I said since I started working, I was never ever going to pay the belasting deals or Revenue Canada any money back after working the whole year, and I never have. Right? So that money is actually a cushion. I like getting it back at the end of the year. Okay? Yeah.
You were talking about the pension. Yes, that if you work here and there and there and there, you can ask the national Netherlands.
You can go to the one that has the best pension for you. Because if you have a lot of pensions, you're getting a pension oversit, usually yearly or maybe once every 5 years. And some companies are better at giving you this than others. So find out that the one that you like, the one that maybe this pension is moving faster than this one. Take all these pensions, the other small ones that you have, and send it to this company. I just picked Nationale Nederlanden as an example because I find they're quite good. You know, they have a log on, I can see how my money is moving. Now, I mean, pension is something that is for your old age. It's not something that I go look. The second thing is you're locked into that pension when you work for that company. Once you leave the company, you're no longer part of the pension anymore, right? So then you start building up all these little small pension amounts that you have, right? So if they're small enough, what some companies do is they will just give you the money back. If it's something like 200 or 250 euros, instead of carrying all this administration for the next 20 or 30 years, they'll just say, yes, 20 euros and we call it even, we stop the pension, okay, it's good for me, right? So that's a decision. You keep all your paperwork, you know where all your pensions are, right? And the ones that you have maybe like 2,000 or 5,000, you put all those together and you start talking to the one company that you do like and say, I want you to take over these pensions. Now, it's not a very fast process, but it's a way to keep your paperwork in order and make sure that you know where your money is, because it's your money. The biggest part of my salary that goes out after taxes is a pension payment.
So, if you work through an outside bureau for 3 months, and the next 3 months you work for Manpower and whatsoever, what then? What do they do?
Go back. Well, the administratie from the Außen Bureau is the one taking care of your pension. So if you are paying pension payments, you want to know where they've gone to, and you actually want to see a policy, because they should have opened a policy under your name and your SOFI number. You want to have a copy of that, okay? And you want to find out about moving out of that company and moving into somewhere else, right? But so make sure, even though if you've worked 3 months, in a year you've worked for 4 different Außen bureaus, once you have paid pension premiums, there's a pension for you somewhere, and you need to track that down. Otherwise, they shouldn't have taken it out. So either 2 things can result. They can refund your money back to you, or they can say, here's where the pension is, it's with I don't know, Switzerland, right? And you can call them and start tracking it down like that. Okay? Sister Comfort, yes. Are we out of time?
It's okay.
Okay. Did you have a question?
Oh, no.
Or you just want to raise your hand?
There is one thing about Bislah. I think they put Bislah on his salary, and you didn't explain it.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about so many unpleasant things. Beslag, I didn't even know what the word was. Yes, Beslag. So the things we talked about in the presentation, right? So you've got your creditors, you've talked to them, and you've got things straightened out. Nobody's coming for you, the stress is off. If you ignore them, or you push them to the side, or you don't take them through, something else happens, whatever, they will get irritated. They will try to take you to court. If that doesn't work, they will actually come after you. And coming after you means It could happen in a couple of ways. One way was their water comes in and they put beslag on your possessions. So they come in your house and they said, yes, this is Priscilla's TV, and I tell them, this is not my TV. Ah, too bad, it's gone. They will take the possessions that they see in there to cover the debt. If that is not enough, then they will do something that's really nasty, because at least, it's only you and your family knew about this problem. But now it's going a bit more public. They're going to go to your employer. This is legally allowed. They're going to go to your employer, and the belasting means does this too. They're going to go to your employer, and they're going to talk about putting in a beslag on your salary. So what happens is they're going to take their money first before you get yours. And they decide how much it is, and you just have to accept the consequences of it. So you see why it's better to take the bull by the horns, right? Because otherwise they're going to get what they want from you in the end. It's how they get it, is what matters. Right? So, and they're going to do that, so your employer knows that you're in trouble now, right? And if everybody gossips in the office, then the whole office knows that you've got a thing on your salary. Yeah, it's not. I'm glad you're laughing, how it's not funny. When you work in a big company, people that you only knew as a number, all of a sudden they're on the belasting deeds radar and they're on the management radar of the company. That this person, you talk to them, they're nice, but it's like, oh, he can't pay his bills. It's not nice. So I know what you're going through. So it's way too late by the time it gets into that stage. But for those of you who are not in that situation, there are steps that you can take before. Everything is negotiable, even the belasting needs, but you negotiate on your terms. Yeah. Yes.
When can the government come in to help you pay your debts? Because there is something which, I don't know how they call it in Dutch or something, where if you have so much debt that your income can't really stand up to it, and the government or maybe the council can come in to help you pay.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that, but I like the way you put it, like I got a fairy godmother, if they can't pay my bills for me. So what Sister Lovely asked is, she heard about something where the government can come in and help pay off my debts for me. Yes, that is exactly the example, Sister Lovely, with Sister Priscilla, my intermediate. It's called Schulsanering, and it's not the way you made it sound, which was like yeah, I'd like to have that. It's going to be, we use Sister Priscilla here as the example. So what you do is you go for Schulsanering Hulp by the gemeente Eindhoven. Okay, and what's going to happen is you're going to bring all your bills, and you're going to bring your payslip as well. And you surrender everything over to Sister Priscilla, and she's going to talk to your creditors and negotiate how much you have to pay back and when. And your salary will also be made over to Sister Priscilla, and maybe at the end of the month she gives you €5 to live, right, per week, of course.
Will that also include selling your house?
No, Schulsanering doesn't have to do with that. They try to avoid doing that, but depending on how seriously in a crisis you are, Sister Priscilla might say, okay, I've talked to your creditors, this is not going to work with your €20 a month. We're going to have to take some big steps, sell some possessions, things like that. I mean, obviously the last thing to do is to get people to sell their home. That would be the last option. That has to be very serious, right? Sister Vera?
Yeah, the question, Sister Lovely, and is it with Sister Priscilla money that they will be paying like that?
No, it's your. Hang on. I forgot to tell you. In this example, you also have to pay, not only that, you have to pay Sister Priscilla you pay Sister Priscilla to pay you €20 a month to live. You have a new bill. You're trying to get yourself straightened out, and now you have a new bill to pay.
I have a question about the in-council. Let's take, for instance, I live in Brother Sage's house. I rent the place. I have an address in Gemete. And Brother Sage is the owner of the house, original from the housing bureau.
Okay.
Now he's owing debt. He has a debt to pay. And he's now out of the country. He doesn't live anymore in the Netherlands. But I'm still living there. So he's owing a lot of money, and the money have gone to the court, all that kind of stuff. So they are coming to take up his possession of stuff. And I have receipt that backs up my own possession in his house.
Yeah.
So now the court have written, or they have taken it to the court, they are coming. But now I went to the Gemete and removed his address from the Gemete. So it shows that he doesn't live anymore in the Netherlands. So what happened to my own property?
Well, you never had a property. You had a place to live, but you never had a property.
Yeah, but
He doesn't live there anymore. But he owns. He doesn't live anymore, but he still owns the asset. The house with the bank is still in his name, right?
No, with the house bureau.
Yes, it's finished.
Yeah.
That means I'm not official.
In Netherlands.
No. If my name is still registered on the Women Bureau, I'm still here. Whether I'm living in UK or Canada or America. But by the time I go to the Women Bureau, hand over them the key, then automatically I will go to the government, I will write out my name. That will make it officially I'm no longer living in Netherlands. But if my name is still registered under the government,
no, not anymore in Gemeente.
Okay.
The Women Bureau.
But the Women Bureau, yes. My name is still there. So, which means I'm still living in Netherlands, but the Gemeente, they are not aware. But the Women Bureau, they are aware about that.
No,
but officially,
is not aware, but Gemeente are aware.
Yeah. Then if a Gemeente is aware, which means you are officially living in Netherlands.
No, Gemeente is not aware.
Okay, Gemeente is not aware, you are not officially living in Netherlands, but the Women Bureau, you are still dealing with them. Because your name is still written under the Women Bureau. Then the police, they still have the access to come into that house and break that house. Before they would now started digging in, where is this person living? But whatever
and this is assets that I can take.
Whatever they see in that house, they have every right to take it. But if you are living on that house address, you have a receipt that is covering your property, that is the area you can fight it. Because it's not written on my own name. It happened to one of Nigeria's guy here in Endison's, right? Before he came back from UK, he removed his name on the Gemeente, he traveled to UK, he put his house on rent, but one time they didn't pay his own bill. They went there, they break the door, they remove everything.
This is an unknown area. Yeah, wow. I've learned something today too. Any more questions? How?
About the last thing, because like it happened to my mama. They were to give her money. She didn't ask for half or whatever. But blasting said they were to give her money, like 2,000 euros. But the money, my mother didn't receive the money. It went on my stepfather's account. Okay. So after 2 years, they came, they sent my mother bills like, so yeah, you receive so amount from us, and you have to pay it back. But my mama didn't receive the money. Right. How do you do something like that? Because she have to pay the money back now. She didn't receive the money. She never knew nothing about.
Are they married?
They are not legally married, but they were together by then.
Okay, so if they're not legally married, like in Gemeenschap van Goederen, it's called, then the money went to the wrong person. And so your mother has to prove that the money went to the wrong person.
The proof, everything was there.
Yeah.
She showed the proof, she went to lawyer, everything, but yet still, she have to pay the money. And she didn't receive the money.
Then she should find a new lawyer, because how can you pay back for something that you did not receive?
That's the thing.
I would find a new lawyer.
Simple.
Yeah. There's something else I wanted to tell you guys. I shared this story with Pastor a couple of years ago, when you know, I'm not the best of bill payers. Don't think what I talked about in here is something that I practice every day, because I don't. And the thing is, you have to be smart with these guys. One time I forgot to pay something, and the Incasso Bureau came on, and you know, you guys know the routine, right? And I told Pastor, I go, look at this thing. I'm just like 5 days late. I said, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay it today. So by this time now, it had doubled in size. So what I did was, I paid the original amount, and I paid it the day that the Incasso bill came, 5 days after the Incasso bill. And after I paid it, so it's already gone, I called them, and I said, oh, look what's happened. I've been traveling and traveling. I just got back and saw this thing now. Oh, I'm so sorry, it's late. But I've paid it now. They said, well, it's going to the Incasso department. I said, oh no, I'm a new customer. How can you do this to me? Is this how you want to treat your new customers? You don't want to treat your new customers like this. I said, it's already paid. I said, I can see it already. I can send you the printout, which is only 5 minutes old. I can print it off, you know, and send it to you, right? They said, oh, okay, we will wait for it. And that was it. I never heard from them again. What do these people want? They just want their money. You have to be smart because they make these things so ridiculous. They double the amount and then they put service cost upon service cost on it, okay? But the thing is about keeping on time. If you go too late, you don't have those choices anymore. In this case, I was about 45 or 50 days too late, and I just went back now. Okay? And so these guys are negotiable as well. Everything, just remember, everything is negotiable. Okay? All right. Pastor, last word?
Let's give her a round of applause. I think it's good to be doing something like this every now and then.
Yeah, it's very important.
Hallelujah. I think when next we are going to do it, we are going to make it bigger. Amen. As many of us that we are in crisis, please, whenever you are in crisis, if you don't know anybody to talk to, you can come to me. If I don't know anybody, if I can't help you, I can suggest to you anybody that can be of help so that we enter. Let me tell you something. Something happened, I think this year or last year. The Belasting hold us money since 2006 or so. They took money from us and they were trying to do it too. Well, we went to where we normally go to. We went to the lawyer. About 2,700 or 2,400. They paid it back. You can get money from the Belasting. When I was doing business, they brought me a bill of about 20,000 euros. I didn't pay anything. You have to know how to negotiate. There's power in negotiation. Abraham did it. Are you getting me right? When God was about to go and destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, he said, if we have 20 people that are righteous, will you still destroy the place? And God said, no. You understand me? There is power of a negotiation. Anybody I want to deal with in business, except I go to maybe some big shops. If I go to small either Arab shop or anything, I'm not going to pay 20 euro for what they wrote 20 euro. I will pay 15 euros. They will say, that one happened in Africa. Yes, they want to sell. Are you getting me right? I have the cash, and that thing have been there for a long time. They have not been able to sell it. By the time you talk to them, they will take your money. The power of negotiation. You can negotiate your life, and that is what we are learning.